Leicester players with a different level of player. It'll make him think quicker, it'll make him move the ball quicker, his touch will improve. So that's what made me a better player. There was no watershed moment, there was no words of wisdom where someone said, well, this is you do to go to the next level. It was all about training every day with just fabulous players.
Did that surprise you though, Graeme? Did you expect somebody to be in your ear all the time saying, do this, do that, you should be here, you should be there? When you went to Liverpool?
Yeah. I mean, I'll try and be as brief as possible. My first game was at West Brom. We were trained, a normal training, walk around Melwood, jog around Melwood, stretch, 5-a-sides, a few sprints and home. 4 days, day off. West Brom away, 2:45. I'm in the dressing room with Steve Highway, Tommy Smith, Ian Callaghan was there, Clem in goal, Emlyn. And I said, to Joe Fagan, I said, can I have a quick word, Joe? He said, yes, son, what is it? I said, I've been here a week and no one said anything to me. How does he want me to play? Well, the second word was off. We spent all this money on you and you asked me how to play football and walked away from me. I never ever asked another question my time at Liverpool. It was, it was a brutal, it was... What they did in those days was all the responsibility was pushed onto your shoulders. Deal with it.
Very different now. Which player from any of the Liverpool teams that you played in then would be best suited to help this current Liverpool team finally win the Premier League?
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I mean, obviously, Rush's goals, Kenny's cuteness. You'd have to get them in the team somewhere with the three they've got. Big Al at the back, with his touching, sort of reading the game. He saw danger before anyone else did. Bruce Grobler, Clem, both top goalkeepers, quite different. Neely is never classed as a great player. I think Neely's got, 7 or 8 First Division Championships, 4 winners, medals European Cup, 1 losers.
Will Graeme Souness take this team to the title?
I think you talk about this Liverpool team.
Yeah.
I think right now they're still a wee bit behind City. City, for me, are still a wee bit in front of them. Hurts me to say that, but who used to say football's a strange game, as we all know. Injuries to certain players, loss of form, but right now I see City as being the favourites.
I think he was expecting you to say you would take them to the title.
Oh, you mean playing in that.
You're talking about what this team lack. I think, to be honest, I look at the midfield more than anything with Liverpool.
Yeah, I think that's how Jurgen sees it as well. When you look at, he signed 2 midfield players. 2 midfield players this summer, and he went for Fekir from Lyon, the third one. So that tells you he thinks that's an area he needs to strengthen. I think that is. They've got 3 real workaholics in there. I don't think they've got anyone that's really cute and clever like a Silva or like a, I don't know, De Bruyne, but who is, these are hard players to find.
Well, you went off to Italy from Liverpool, Graeme, and people often say, this is the next question, people often say the pace of Italian football is slower, but was it actually like that when you played, or was that just a perception that we have in the UK?
No, at that time, I don't think it is anymore. I think they get after you now. And at that time, as a midfield player, it was an absolute doddle, because what they did, you'd receive the ball in midfield, under no pressure. They would retreat until they're sort of just into their half, and then it was really hard to be a striker in those days there. There was nowhere to go, Trevor Francis found it difficult, but did very well. I played with Gianluca Vialli and Roberto Mancini. These were 2 young boys, but, top players. But to be a striker in those days was very, very hard. It's the hardest place to play. It always has been. But in those days, I think it was double difficult because everything was compressed. They all retreated.
You came back and trained once at Liverpool, didn't you? You
yeah,
told me that story.
I was there 3 months. We were on the pitch the other day, weren't we, at Anfield? So in the 5-a-sides, that was, I'd have as many touches as anyone at Liverpool in those days. And then I went off to Italy, came back, asked if I could train. We trained on Anfield, at the Anfield Road end, across the pitch. And I trained for half an hour. In a small game, I think I got 6 touches of the ball. I had got into that pace, that tempo, and of course the Liverpool lads were still knocking it around double quick.
There were some incredible players when you were over in Italy. Who was your hardest opponent in Italy? We can think of the likes of Platini, Laudrup, Maradona, Zico.
Yeah, I had a real soft spot for Zico. I thought he was just sensational. Played against him in the World Cup Championship in Tokyo. there's two players. Partly, you know, for the younger viewers tonight, part of the game in those days, every team had 2 or 3 people that would try and sort of mess opposition around, test their mettle by being a little bit physical towards them. And there's 2 players in my career that I never ever laid a finger on. One was Zico, and he just had a sixth sense. You know, the radar he had was different to anyone else's. Never got anywhere near him. Another one was an Englishman who was a World Cup winner. Go on, who was that?
Alan Ball.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
Yeah, sensational. Never laid a finger on him.
What about players going abroad? That happened a lot, probably in the 80s. Do you think that was a big sort of thing that you look back on your career that you think other players now should do?
Well, I just won the European. We just won the League Cup, the League and the European Cup. I mean, I was 31, and it was a challenge. In the 80s, it's like England is now, really. All the best players want to be here. It was in the 80s. That's how it was there. It was a challenge. It was something very different, very new, and I loved every minute of it.
What about atmosphere? This is an interesting one because you've played and experienced different atmospheres as player and manager. What's the best you've played in a football match?
I'd have to say a Rangers-Celtic game. I mean, I found it very hard. You know, okay, I was past my sell-by date. But I found them very hard to play in. And, when I managed to stay on the pitch, I found them very hard to play in them. They were played at a terrific tempo. No one gave an inch. You know, it was...
Did you feel you had a reputation that you had to sort of show everyone that you were this tough guy, this hard man?
No, I never saw myself as that. I think there was an element of... it's a British thing. I don't think it's just a Scottish thing. Who does he think he is coming here to show us how it's done? And I lived with it, dealt with it, didn't deal with it too well on occasions. Like the very first game I played, I managed to get myself sent off. That was totally my fault and deserved to go. But it was a challenge, and I think we did okay at Rangers at that time.
Certainly did.